could you tell us a little bit about how you teach or provide dramatic play activities in your classroom?
Great question. So here at the classroom, all the centers are open all the time. Dramatic Play is a center that the students are able to choose. They use the classroom management system, and so they use a stick for selection. Here's an example. It has their name written, and it also has their pictures for children who were growing to that literary concept. The Velcro is on the back. Each center, has the correct amount of
Velcro spots.
Velcro spots. Thank you, Miss Cameron. They have the correct amount of Velcro spots. And so when the center is full of the students who want to go there or select that, they know that that option is now closed. However, they do have an opportunity to ask a friend if they would like to switch or join another center with them.
Great, great. So when children do select the Dramatic Play Center, what is your role as teachers within that center while they're there?
Our role is to be a facilitator and also observe in the centers and ask those open-ended questions that they, might have. So let's say we're asking them, how does that make you feel if the baby is crying? That we just, expand, make that deeper connection with the materials that are in dramatic play.
That is great, Miss Karen. And also to piggyback off of what Miss Karen says, being that we don't define their roles, so it's okay whatever role they select. We're here to facilitate learning and support them with their own imagination and their creative thinking skills, the open-ended questions, and being that we are lab school and we do have interns, we post our open-ended questions around the centers, in every center. So you'll see the bright orange up above us on the wall. Those are located in every center. So just in case an intern or Miss Karen or I get stuck and we need to know, how can we invoke deeper thinking? Tell me a little bit more about this. What would you do next? Have you experienced something else? Is there something else you would like to share? How would you end?
So it sounds to me like when children select Dramatic Play Center, that you're not saying, great, this is the time for me to, get my art activity prepared, but this is very much, you're a very active participant within their play and facilitating the learning that's occurring.
Correct. And I'm happy to hear you say that because our materials are not married or honed in on one specific center. Art can come here. They use art. They created donuts for the donut shop that they had during the building study. Some happened at the table in the art center and some happened over in dramatic play. Writing comes here. They make their own recipes. So none of the materials are married to where they would typically be. Blocks can come. Outfits can switch. They can wear it all day. They can go to the super center. They can go to the water table. Just as long as you're done when the timer goes off, let's go ahead and clean it up.
Great. That sounds really exciting. Tell me a little bit about the physical space and how that is defined from other parts of the classroom.
Okay, so that's also a good question. We typically like to sort of separate loud from quiet activities. And then we have transitional activities that would be in between, maybe a science, manipulatives, some self-selection items. So that way, if they're focusing on a book or a story or they need personal time, that they're able to gain that. And we like to have the more busy centers on one side of the room. And then here you can see we have our blocks and dramatic play over here. It's not a coincidence. Also with music, it's not a coincidence that they are next to each other because they are interchangeable and the materials are interchangeable. And it is okay if someone wants to build something and bring it to the dramatic play center if that's what they choose, or take an outfit and wear it into the block center.
Wow, that's amazing. Great. So you talked a little bit about the questioning techniques. Is there anything else that comes to mind about how you support provoking their imagination within dramatic play or in the classroom? How you provoke that imagination?
Good question. I've seen Miss Karen do some awesome things over here in dramatic play, and sometimes it's easier when someone else sees your great work than you see. On eye level with the children, they were sitting at the table. However, there were only 2 seats, so Miss Karen sat on the floor, but she was a part of the restaurant experience that they had going on. So that is wonderful. On their eye level, communicating with them. She asked one of our friends, have you ever been to the restaurant? And he says, yes, but I like going to the donut shop. And so that's sort of the building that took place. And so we did a graph on what's your favorite and why. And of course, the donuts won. Of course, the donut beat the grocery store. But just to see her on the floor with the children, engage, even role play. She allowed someone to fix her hair at a hair salon once over here. I didn't know if she would be able to do it, but they had a wonderful time. And so the experiences that the children were able to gain, they recreated roles that they had participated in, that they had already seen their loved ones participate in, that they had seen on television. And so to me, they're able to do the things that they live with learning social cues and to integrate socially with their peers. And so that was a positive for me to see.
Yeah, when Miss Karen, it sounds like you were really making that connection between their past experiences and to the new learning that was occurring in the classroom, which is amazing. So you talked a little bit about roles within their play. Is that something that you as the teachers assign, or is that chosen by the children?
No, it's chosen by the children. They also even choose our roles sometimes when we're playing. So like when we were playing dramatic play, Miss Lakeisha's played with them as well. We were going to Disneyland. That's where they wanted to go. And Miss Lakeisha was the driver. And she's like, okay, I can be the driver. And they were, they choose our roles. And they also choose the roles they all had for themselves too.
And it was okay. And I had to use this experience to say, because Miss Karen got to be the princess on this field trip in the Disney parade. And it's okay, I can be the van driver. Without being the van driver, how would we have gotten to Disney to see the princess on ice over here? So it is a wonderful thing. And so they even role play and switch roles with us. And we invoke their conversation. I'm upset. Okay, well, tell me why you're upset. If you don't tell us, we won't know. Do we need to use a picture for you to tell us? I'm angry with you. Okay, well, why are you angry? You didn't choose me in the center. So we'll have to remind them we're rotating for all the centers. And we'll get an opportunity to play with everyone. But just as soon as we're done, we'll be over here and we'll play with you. And when you ask them, what did they learn today? Sometimes they'll say play. So we'll have to explain to our parents that more than play takes place in dramatic play in all of our centers. We believe that our children learn through play, and we take all the materials to wherever they choose. So if we're working on literary skills and she chose not to sit down for the book, that's great. She may choose letter recognition around the room, or may choose a book that's in dramatic play that goes with the unit or theme, or a favorite book that she chooses. And so we support that. It doesn't have to be the book that we say needs to be read. They have their own option to choose the book that they like.
Yes, I'm hearing, as you all are talking, a lot of learning coming from all the different developmental domains that are integrated in dramatic play, but also around the whole classroom. Yes. So that's amazing. So talk to me a little bit about the time frame. How much you kind of maybe already mentioned this a little bit about your center choice, but how much time typically are children in the dramatic play center throughout the day, or given that option?
We set the timer for 20 minutes. Dramatic play and blocks are usually centers that take a little more to clean up, depending on how engrossed the children are. So we may have to come through. We have about 3 minutes, friends in dramatic play. We have about 3 minutes. That way if they've taken out a lot of clothing or a lot of materials, so they can start putting the things back up. It may take a little longer. once the timer goes off at the end of the 20 minutes, there's a 3 to 5 minute transitional period, and that it's not just for dramatic play, it's for all the centers. And so therefore, when the timer goes off, once you clean up your center, you can select the next center. And so it doesn't matter what center you were at. All centers are open all day, so you may get to choose the next one. We do like for them to rotate sometimes. They'll stay fixated in one place. And depending on how new they are, depends on how rough that may be, but we work with them just like they work with us. They may be creating something in here that they didn't have enough time to do. Great. Do you want to put a stop sign here? Can we remove it? And maybe sit it over here on the shelf, or we can sit it on the counter. That way, when you're ready to go back to it, maybe if you try back later on, before we go outside, you can go pick up where you left off at. Mm-hmm. And so they are able to continue their things on, so it's not just stopped, because things do build upon one another. We teach that in the concepts that we teach, and so that's important for them while they're learning as well. They don't have to be done in 20 minutes, so they may have to put a stop sign and pause it, and we're okay with that.
I love that concept of building on what they were doing and continuing that on. That's amazing. So you did mention a little bit about themes and how that changes in your classroom. Can you tell us a little bit about how often you rotate the materials in dramatic play, or it changes with the theme of the learning happening?
You want to tag team it?
You tag team. So it does change with the things that we have going on. So like right now we have the building study. So we add some different things with buildings. It's like our donut shop. The kids are able to express what they feel might be needed inside the center. So we're able to use some of the knowledge they give us to put and add to the centers as well.
Expanding a little bit more on the materials, you talked about how you rotate the materials in a little bit with the theme. Generally speaking, do you change out materials at all within the things that are consistently in the Dramatic Play Center?
Yes. And we try to do that every 4 months, 3 to 4 months quarterly, being that we're open for a solid year and not just on the 10-month schedule. We try to do that every 3 to 4 months so the children aren't bored. So we keep the labels with the pictures and the names. We rotate off of the shelf. I call it our storage room. But each center is labeled in the storage room. And so you can switch off and enhance with whatever you need. And then we add, just depending on the temperament or what the children want to see as well.
So it sounds like you ask for their input on, here's what we're learning, the theme is building, for example. What do you feel like might need to be added to our Dramatic Play Center to help learning around that concept?
We need their opinion. You are correct. We need their opinion because we could plan and it could be the greatest thing ever, but if no one's interested, then we fail them as educators, because who's going to pay attention? Who wants to learn something that they're not interested in learning? And so even with the building thing, we were on a previous unit and we were on a tour, and someone noticed that the inside of the building, the floor was the same as the bricks that are outside. And so that sparked their conversation on buildings. And so with us using the creative curriculum, Ms. Karen and I chose that. And the curriculum is a guide. I won't say it's etched in stone either. That's used as a guide, but also with the webbing and where we took it, what we ended up doing here with this particular group of students was a little different, totally different from what the creative curriculum had planned. So the curriculum, the theme, those are guides. The concepts in which we teach, those are what we focus on, and the activities are what we use to get there.
And it sounds like what took place or what has taken place was much more meaningful to the children because it was observations that they had witnessed or ideas that they had, and they got to see that carry out.
And unfold over time.
Yes.
Ms. Cameron was very instrumental in including our parents. Our parents as partners, we like to do that. And so we sent out communications on, well, how do the buildings look in your neighborhood? Maybe riding in a car. Can you count how many buildings are on campus? Just that was the homework. So it was a fun thing. They were able to tell us what multifamily homes were versus single family, just depending on their experience and their knowledge.
Wow. So to kind of sum this up, because we've covered our questions, it just sounds like dramatic play, the opportunities are endless.
They are.
Yeah, they're endless. And if facilitated appropriately and with intention, because it sounds like everything that you are doing is intentional, that the sky's the limit for the learning that can occur. So